What's up, folks? Welcome into another edition, jam-packed edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by TOA of Columbia. It's the Monday Mirror edition of the program. He's Chris Yao. I'm Wade Neely. We are coming to you live from the Lee Company studios here in downtown Columbia. And Chris, a lot of stuff to get into from the weekend. Really a lot of stuff to get into ahead this week. It's time for the Monday Mirror. Good to be with you here on a Monday afternoon again in the Lee Company studios right here in Columbia.
Yeah, it's good to be here on a Monday. This is the only reason that Mondays are bearable for me is just getting all of the things that I thought of off of my chest over the weekend, and it's going to be a good show. We do have a lot to get to, and I'm looking forward to this one particularly because we've got a lot of local stuff to get into, and it's the only time this week, Wade, that this show will be live.
Yeah, busy schedule this week. We will have coverage, let's just put it that way, during this time slot every day this week. But this is the only live show that we will be doing, and we'll fill you guys in on that as the episode kind of rolls along today. But a lot to dive into, as you mentioned. We'll chat, busy show today. We'll chat with Ben McKEE, who's our good friend from Go Vols 24/7. We will break down a big weekend for Tennessee. A lot of consternation, potentially, over who you may consider or not consider the SEC baseball champ. We'll get into that with Ben. We'll obviously talk SEC baseball coming up, SEC softball a little bit as well. We'll also talk SEC baseball as they get ready for their tournament. Talk a little Braves. Braves are already actually underway right now, and you nearly smashed your phone in disgust.
You cannot make this up.
But the good news is still some game to be played today. Matter of fact, still a lot of games to be played today as Atlanta's going to play 2 versus the Padres. And, of course, it is Monday, so we'll dive in with MON-STARS a little bit later. Big weekend for MON-STARS. We'll try and go preps to pros. Sometimes we do that. Sometimes we don't. But it's our segment to shout out the local performances or national performances from over the weekend during that segment. So a lot to dive into, including our top story coming up in just a matter of moments as a local team got a nice win over the weekend. Looking forward to breaking that down as well.
Dubs are dubs, and we'll take it. And looking forward to talking about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, let's get into all of the things that we have to get into because again, we've got so much. We don't want to, 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag.
We don't want to shortchange anybody or anything.
Mo likes to say potatoes. There are others who will just tell you it's 10 pounds of something else that we can't say.
Horse feathers?
Sure. Into a 5-pound bag. A lot of stuff to get to. And again, this is going to be fun.
Looking forward to it. Without further ado, let's bring you guys this weekend scores and today's/this week's schedule on a jam-packed edition. It's time for the Monday Rundown.
This is the Rundown.
Monday Rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education in Murray County. Give them a call at 931-388-5831 or visit zioneagles.org to schedule your appointment today. Zion Christian Academy, prepared for college, equipped for purpose.
Let's roll right into those weekend results. We begin with baseball, and action was underway on Friday. Let's bring you those Friday results. It was Riverdale falling to Bradley Central. 8-2 was your score in that contest. White House defeats Creekwood by the count of 7-0. Siegel hangs on for a 5-4 win versus Cleveland. On the softball diamond this weekend, Friday games, they played all 3 days, so buckle up. Friday action, it was Westmoreland defeating East Nashville 16-0. Lexington 8, Greenbrier 2. Green Hill picked up a 6-1 win versus Lincoln County. It was Huntington 2, Summertown 0. Liberty Creek shutting out Pearl Cone 7-0 was your final there. Stewart's Creek picked up a 10-0 win versus East Hamilton. Walker Valley dispatched Smyrna 2-1 was your final tally there. Joe Burns was an 8-7 winner to cap Friday's scores versus Whitwell. Couple of games on Saturday. It was Arlington 12, Dixon County 6. Hollow Rock Brewston slips by Eagleville with a 3-1 victory on Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah. Eagleville going down on Saturday. Hollow Rock Brewston.
Wow.
Getting the dub.
Okay.
A lot of folks thought Eagleville had a chance to make
Class A is now wide open.
Yep, had a great chance to win that thing, but no longer. So Hollow Rock Brewston again eliminates Eagleville over the weekend. Again, 3-1 was your final there. But wait, there's more. Capping our softball scores from the weekend on Sunday, it was Cheatham County 4, Community 3. Creekwood picked up a 5-0 win versus Macon County, and it was Nolensville 3, Mount Juliet 2.
All right, we go to boys soccer on the pitch. Friday was Christian Brothers 4-0 winners over Christ Presbyterian. Father Ryan blanks Chattanooga Christian 2-0. It was McCauley 4, Innsworth 1, MBA edging MUS 1-0. On Saturday, Boyd Buchanan 1-0 winners over Battleground Academy. Chester County downs Martin Luther King 5-2. It was University School of Nashville 1, Grace Knoxville 0. Harpeth 2-1 winners over Cascade. Hendersonville in a absolute offensive slugfest, 6-5 winners over Brentwood in PKs. Houston, a 4-0 winner over Clarksville. Howard defeats Laverne 2-1. It was Independence Academy doubling up Liberty Creek 6-3. Ravenwood 5-4 winners over Beach. Walker Valley 2, Rockville 1. Rossview 4-1 winners over Bartlett. South Doyle downs Murfreesboro Central 1-0. And Station Camp a 9-0 winner over Lexington. Major League Baseball action from Friday. It was the Padres 3 and the Braves 1. The Astros 5-4 winners over the Brewers. Brewers double up Houston on Saturday 4-2, and the Braves and Padres were postponed, and that's why they're playing 2 today. On Sunday, it was the Astros 9, Brewers 4, Padres 9, Braves 1.
Jumping into minor league baseball scores from the weekend, the Sounds on Friday defeated the Jumbo Shrimp by the score of 4-3. Jacksonville bounces back, though. They win both on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday's game was 10-0 in favor of those Jumbo Shrimp. And then on Sunday, yesterday's score, it was Jacksonville 7, Nashville 3. Some WNBA scores from Friday night. Connecticut defeats Washington 84-77. Minnesota actually caught this game, went to double overtime as Minnesota defeats Seattle 102-93. Those were on Friday. On Saturday, the Liberty knocked off the Fever 91-80. The Vegas Aces took care of the Sparks. Close game somewhat, 89-82. Chicago defeats Dallas 83-74. And in a very tight game Saturday night, it was Phoenix 88, Atlanta 85.
What a Saturday for the WNBA.
They had 4 games rolling, 2 of them on ABC and then 2 of them on NBA TV. They had quite a Saturday.
And all of them were competitive.
All of them were competitive. And again, that Friday night game, I caught the fourth quarter and beyond of Minnesota and Seattle, which went to 2 OT. Speaking of Seattle, they closed the weekend 84-75 was your final score there. Bonus score from over the weekend, MLS action at Geodis Park on Saturday. It was a matinee, and Nashville SC scored early, but Atlanta United ties it up, and the teams battled to a 1-1 draw. Stop me if you've heard that before, that NSC did not get a win, but didn't lose. Played to a draw.
It's a bunch.
It's happened quite a few times this season.
Padres just defeated the Braves 6-5, and you can't make this up. We'll talk about it here in a little bit. They play the second one at 5:20 on Valley. Angels are at Houston tonight, 7:10. WNBA action. Connecticut is at the Fever. That's a 6 o'clock start on ESPN. The Fever have played a gauntlet to start this season. And then Seattle is at the Liberty at 6 o'clock tonight. That's on ESPN3. Once again, the WNBA fumbling all of the bags. All right. Now, before we get into the rest of it, we do have Spring Fling will start tomorrow.
Yep.
So these are all things that will happen before we go on the air at 2 o'clock with your Spring Fling preview, which will kind of be a little late, but also still timely enough.
Okay.
Track and field will be all day. So just get the DNA Hayes and
park a chair.
That's right. Girls tennis tomorrow. We still don't know who Summertown will be playing, but they will be playing at 9 a.m. Girls tennis there. Brentwood takes on Tennessee, same time. At 11 a.m., boys tennis, Brentwood and Collierville, all of those at the Adams Tennis Complex. At 1 o'clock at McKnight, it's Stewart's Creek and Green Hill, as well as Nolensville at taking on Arlington. And then in D2 tennis, girls tennis action, there are no Middle Tennessee teams in play. How about that? 1:30 soccer action at the Richard Siegel complex. You can see Station Camp in Munford at 2 o'clock. You can see Joe Burns and Hollow Rock Brewston softball at 2 o'clock. And also at 2 o'clock, we'll throw in Wayne County here. How about them Lady Wildcats? Wayne County at 2 o'clock. So all of that happening before 2 o'clock tomorrow. So with that being said, that is your rundown.
Good rundown in the books, but that just brings us one step closer to today's top story, which is brought to you, as always, by our friends at Piggly Wiggly over at Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check them out for your delicious daily deli lunch options, as well as hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10 at the register when you check out. Once again, top story brought to you by our friends at Piggly Wiggly over at Neely's Mill. Chris, top story. We talked a lot last week at various points and for various reasons about arena football. But at the end, there was a big game that was going to be played, and the Nashville Cats, yes, they're playing a lot of their games in downtown Nashville at Municipal Auditorium, but they did have one game on the schedule that everybody was kind of excited about, and that game took place this weekend. They got a big win up in Clarksville at the was it F&M Bank Arena? What can you tell us about it as the Cats do get the win to kind of keep some of their positive mojo rolling in the Arena League?
I can tell you this. There are about 5,000 seats in that arena. There were 40,649 people announced at the game. Every one of them were there. An absolutely perfect venue, an absolutely perfect atmosphere. Just everything about this game was exactly what it was. Vintage arena football. All the way down to the game ops. So I'm sitting in the end zone and I'm watching where everyone comes out. So not just the players, but the game day crew and the mascot, and they're setting up the band for halftime. I mean, it was as top notch an event as could have been put together by the Cats, the folks in Clarksville at F&M Bank Arena, who did a really good job of taking care of me, of taking care of anything. And here's that arena is much like these new minor league ballparks where it's a 360. You can walk the concourse and still see the field. Right. It's incredible. And the concessions, top notch. I'm talking about Hunt's Brother Pizza. They've got Black Horse Brewery is there with food and drinks. They've got a chicken place, Dippin' Dots, actual fresh scooped ice cream. You've seen these where you can go in and get like candy and popcorn and chips and a 20-ounce drink. It's like a convenience store. Yeah, they got a couple of those in there. I'm telling you, man, if you've not been to F&M Bank Arena, you should go. And if for my money, I love Municipal. I think the history is fantastic. They have done a really good job of embracing the Cat. But Clarksville's a better experience. It just is. Now, for the game, a lot of different stuff. But
well, and I think that's obviously the win was huge, 58-26. So that's what makes it so interesting is the fact that this was played outside of Nashville, and there was a lot of buzz about it. Do you think that same type of intensity atmosphere would last if it were more than a one-off event in Clarksville?
I don't know. I think Clarksville wants something of their own. I think that was an audition of sorts. Hey, if you bring it, we'll come. And so I'd love to say yes. I do think that Clarksville is ready for something of their own. Obviously they've grown to nearly 200,000 people just in that, in that city. And it's crazy. And I think they could support something that requires 4,500 people to show up. I really do. So I don't know. I would be interested to see, if they did have 6 or 8 home games to kind of go through. I I would say yes, but I'm not. I think success would obviously dictate a lot of that too. But if you're good, and it was a bloodbath early, and it was never in question. The game was never in question. So now, granted, Wichita had just played Monday night, turn around and play Saturday night, both games on the road. But Nashville started a new quarterback. Dalton Oliver got to start instead of Ramon Atkins. Mm-hmm. So there were some growing pains early, but defensively, that's where the Cats make their bones, man. I mean, just absolute brutal on the defensive front and made Charlie Brewer look silly at times. That Wichita even went to the shotgun, which is almost never seen in arena football.
Yeah.
It's very popular in indoor football.
Uh-huh.
And there were things that you could tell Wichita coming over from the CIF, the Champions Indoor Football League, mid-season. You could tell that they weren't used to some of the rules. Like they got called for illegal defense, which means you've got the MAC linebacker and the jack linebacker. The jack linebacker is more like an outside coverage guy.
Okay.
But he has to stay within a 5-yard box and can only leave that box if the running back leaves the box, the quarterback leaves the
Somebody
box.
takes off.
Or you can cover that running back or whatever, something like that. They got called for that a lot. That's a 5-yard penalty, automatic first down. And so that'll kill you. That'll kill some some momentum.
Drive extender.
So that sort of thing. But other than that, I mean, Nashville was obviously the better team. And despite Wichita wearing Pantone 151C, it was very, very weird to watch them do that. But yeah, really good game. A lot of fun. I think everybody around me had fun. It was a blast.
I mean, so the atmosphere was great. Obviously, the team was fantastic. Reading through their recap here, 21-0. I mean, already out to a fast start, but then they make it 31-14, 37-14 even. I think that's kind of interesting that the game kind of just mimicked kind of a party-like atmosphere, but it sounds like the atmosphere was already kind of in party mode in addition to whatever the game. I'm trying to also envision how cool it could have been if it had turned into a really close game down the stretch, because when you got that many fans there as dialed in as they were, I mean, that could have really been rocking, it seems like, at the end. But obviously it was with good cause because they were celebrating early.
Yeah, it was loud. It was exciting. You're right, though. It in the event that a close game were to have happened, I think that would have made a big difference for Nashville. I think it made a big difference early. I mean, Wichita really struggled. They first kick of the game, they barely get it out of the end zone. They force a punt, which is a field goal attempt, and it was basically from the end zone. So he just kind of had to pooch it and hope.
Yeah.
And they get the ball down to the 10 on the return. So didn't have a whole lot of room to go. So it was just early, and the crowd was excited. I think that that probably played a big part of it too. And pretty much everybody stayed till the end. So
good stuff.
That's what you love to see.
Absolutely. Real quick before we get ready to take our first break, is there a chance that I know everything is kind of set in stone with the schedule, but also we know based on what we've seen with a lot of teams this year, nothing is really set in stone. Is there a chance Clarksville gets tabbed for a game later this year? Or if not, it seems like, did they set themselves up well enough to host something next year for sure in your mind?
It's interesting because everything is kind of up in the air. I mean, right now the Cats have their home and away set, but if something happens and say the team that they're set to go to on June 6th, let's say, says we're out, then, next thing you know, they're looking for a place to play. And Nashville says, hey, yeah, we can host. Clarksville's got the arena and they're ready to go. And so, yeah, I mean, you could potentially see it. I think, again, you've got a lot of, you've got the block party downtown. You do the municipal venue. But, yeah, if something happens and an away game turns into a home game, then I think you could see Clarksville get another one.
Good stuff, because that was one that I know a lot of folks had scheduled on their calendar. So it seems like it went off kind of without a hitch, both in terms of the game ops.
It did.
And
I'm telling you, those game ops, I'm telling you, it was amazing to watch.
they had it, Municipal's a little bit older arena. Obviously, you wonder sometimes if the operators were like, ooh, now we get to work at this kind of fancy, newer arena. And then maybe, we're a little more amped up to kind of play with the toys and the features there, as it were.
And you had a video board.
Mm-hmm.
Really, it was just and matter of fact, if you guys would like, you can actually go back and watch the game on YouTube. So Nashville actually broadcasted the game on YouTube because they had a video board, and they had 5 cameras.
Wow.
I mean, they went all out, and it was fantastic. So, yeah.
Good stuff. Again, Nashville wins 58-26. Game was played at F&M Bank Arena up in Clarksville. Chris Yao breaking things down, as he always does, as our resident AFL expert. That's going to take us to a quick timeout. When we come back, we got a lot to get into, not just football, but college athletics. We're going to break that down. And then still to come later in this hour, we will give you guys our best and brightest from over the weekend. We'll talk a little MON-STARS. That's part of a jam-packed first hour here. Don't go anywhere, folks. Chris and I return right after this. You're watching Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. We're back right after this.
Bluegrass Auction Associates is hosting another real estate auction Saturday, June 8th at 10 a.m. in the beautiful Hickory Woods subdivision. This spacious estate offers numerous amenities, perfect for the homeowner or investor. Conveniently located in Davidson County, Tennessee at 221 Wild Grove Court. This is the sale you don't want to miss. Join Bluegrass and bid with confidence Saturday, June 8th at 10 a.m.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
They just get on offline Dynasty.
Yeah.
Welcome back, gang. Hour number 1 of the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia, rolling right along, alongside Chris Yao, Wade Neely sitting in the saddle. And Chris, time to dive in. We just, if you missed the open of our show, we broke down a big win for the Nashville Cats in Clarksville. We talked in depth about how the game day experience and a lot that just goes into things kind of came to pass. We kind of are continuing that conversation in a sense. We're not really talking about game being played on the field, perhaps, but there's always something going on in the business world of college sports. And this is a topic I know that you wanted to get into and kind of peel back the layers on, my friend.
Yes, but before we do so, Mo and I told you we went to the Coaches versus Cancer breakfast a while back. And obviously, Nick McDevitt and Casey Alexander and an assistant for Vanderbilt were there, as was Brian Penny Collins of Tennessee State. Well, 1 hour ago, Tennessee State men's basketball coach Penny Collins gets on Twitter and says, "We are thrilled about the future of our program with our new Heart of a Tiger NIL program. Fans can directly support our players. Plus, don't miss the #Deserve to Win All-Star game on June 29th, and a link tree to where you can directly support Tennessee State NIL. How about that?"
Now, the question was, how much was that discussed at all at the?
No.
So he kind of kept it under.
This is kind of new.
Under the vest.
This is new information here. So I'll be interested to learn more about the Heart of a Tiger NIL program. But anyway, as we get ready for this week is maybe the biggest week in the history of college sports, and nobody knows about it.
Tell me more.
Is that
you've got my attention.
This week is the deadline for the House v. NCAA case, and this is a settlement that could allow the NCAA to still manage somehow NIL, and maybe even cap NIL or something like that. But it's also going to end up being opening the door for schools to pay athletes from the past, as well as this is going to be an interesting situation. Mitt Winter, who we've had on the show before, is a college sports attorney. And he said it's highly unlikely a judge would certify a settlement that would cap NIL. And this is something the NCAA is proposing, a $22 million annual, basically, salary cap. Winter said, "Based on my experience with litigating class actions, that would be extremely unusual, and I don't think it's legally possible." That's what he told the folks at On3 Sports. A class action settlement can bind absent class members, but it can't bind those who are not class members at all, which means any future athletes. So this is going to be an interesting, and is the NCAA safe from future lawsuits if this happens? We don't know. But this is a situation that's going to require, no matter what, at the end of this, it's going to require that schools pay something in this lawsuit. So is it going to be, I think this is looking at $2.77 billion.
Not just peanuts.
In back damages.
Holy moly. Now, my immediate question on that is, if every school is required, what sort of scale or how does this work in terms of the payouts? Do we know that information just yet?
Well, Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports basically says that it's everybody's paying the same piece of the pie. So Conference USA, get ready to delve out your $70 million. Or I think it's per school, not per.
So MTSU, you're the same as Utah
or Tennessee.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Yeah, but that is nuts. It would require them to pay 40% of that money back through the NCAA over 10 years. And then the other 60% would come from a reduction in school distributions over the next, or I guess that 10-year period. 40% would come from the NCAA institution. 60% they would just withhold it, basically like a like a deduction from your check, and that would be paid over 10 years, the $2.77 billion.
Yeah, I love this. All the conferences learned earlier this month they'd be on the hook for the bill. How'd you love to be in that office? If presumably you at least had a clue or an inclination where this was going, an inkling where this was going. But imagine if you didn't. Oh yeah, hey, by the way, what did I get in the mail today? Well, you got a letter from our conglomerate of attorneys here. What's that say? Just is that trash? Is that normal mail? No, actually, they say you're going to be owing several hundred thousands of dollars, if not multiple $million, and it's going to be due sooner than later. And you're right. This is potentially a huge story that not a lot of people are talking about, not a lot of people know about, and that's myself included coming into this. And now the more I'm reading about it, I'm like you. I'm like, whoa, this is kind of almost a further borderline like paradigm shift type situation of college athletics, kind of as we know it. At least that's what it seems like to me on the surface.
That's the thing is I'm not entirely sure if some of these schools can afford to continue playing sports.
I mean, that's what I'm wondering. The smaller schools, when you have to stroke the same check that Tennessee is stroking, can you withstand that?
Well, and it's not just that, but here's the biggest problem is settling in this case doesn't mean you can't be sued again. And once you settle here, open up the floodgates because they're all coming.
Perpetual lawsuit or perpetual settlements.
So at that point, I don't really know how you can, I don't know how you can afford it. I really don't. The NCAA is potentially on its deathbed.
I was just getting ready to say, it seems like they're kind of almost hanging by a thread in a lot of respects. For the first time in kind of a legal perspective, it seems like they're hanging on for dear life. That's the way I'm looking at it.
And here's the thing. It's not like there's anything they can do about it. If you thought there was going to be a split in what they're calling the Autonomy 5 versus, and I guess, I think it's interesting that the Big East doesn't think it's a power conference. That's interesting.
Everybody wants to be a power conference till it's time to pay conference bills.
That's right. And I'm not sure that they have the ability. I don't know. This is interesting because I guess what they're saying is, the lot of our power schools don't even play football. So why are we having to pay?
AKA potentially make the most revenue. Right.
Right. So why do we have to pay $70 million if everybody else is paying $70 million? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It seems more like we should pay $30 million, which is what they're proposing here. The alternate proposal, again, obtained by Ross Dellinger and Yahoo Sports, would let's see, it would have the Autonomy 5 paying per school 156 million, 156.7 over, I guess, I'm not sure what that number is. Maybe that's the 40%. That sounds about right. And then the group of 5 would pay 47 million. FCS per school would pay 22 million, and then the IAAA, I don't know what that is, would pay 20 million per school. So I guess this is over the total 10 years. So yeah, it would be like, 4.7 million per school per year.
But again, especially for smaller schools, ain't exactly a couple dimes and nickels. I mean,
right.
This substantial change there.
This makes sense, and it's a little wild otherwise. So there you go. This could be the end of a lot of college athletics. And I don't want to sound doom and gloom here. This is the facts. I mean, dollars are what pays the bills. And if I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there are very few, if more than a handful, of colleges who turn a profit in athletics. Almost none of them make money on athletics at the end of the day. And so, if that's the case, why keep trying? So is this to me seems like I'm going to get mine, screw the rest of y'all situation. Because that's the way it feels. It feels like a lot of these past athletes are like, yeah, give me my money at the expense of future athletes.
I see where you're going with that. To me, I find it fascinating that the NCAA kind of we've been operating in these murky shadows for so long, and not saying that it was kind of a shell game by any stretch, but it almost resembled kind of a shell game.
Yeah.
And no one really ever kind of had to fully pay up because we were able to operate under these very ominous and dark parameters. And now all of a sudden that all the cards have been turned over on the table, somebody's got to foot the bill. And now all of a sudden the jig is up, it seems like. And yeah, whether you're turning a profit or not, it doesn't matter. Somebody's going to have to get paid. And this is kind of throwing everything into flux, it seems like, or potentially going to throw it into flux.
I'm not opposed to athletes getting paid going forward. I think the back damages is my problem. And I know I'm not saying they didn't deserve to get paid. I'm saying that they knew what they signed up for.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, if this happens, you might see some folks say, no. I don't know if you heard about us. Hi, we're SMU, and we paid players before. So we've already given them their money.
Yeah, we did
How
that.
much do we need to subtract from this money we're giving? So hold on. And then who knows? The next thing you know, you've got schools coming out of the woodworks admitting to paying players.
No, we didn't present the receipts back then, but we certainly still have them. And yeah, here they are. I thought you guys weren't paying players. Well, we weren't, but now that we're officially required to show documentation. This is all very fascinating, and you're right, very kind of under the radar in terms of the coverage. It's also interesting that this is kind of ramping up right into the end of the school year and right into before we start doing the carousel of college football media days, where every story kind of starts taking on a bigger and bigger piece of the news cycle here. So this is going to be fascinating to see how all this plays out. And again, so many cases now kind of going with the NCAA being involved in a court of law where there's no real wiggle room, there's no more shell games. And so once we finally arrive at these situations and arrive at these potential decisions, it just almost feels kind of like the door is closing on the NCAA and kind of that grip that they had on college athletics for so long.
And that's where look, and going forward, I'm perfectly fine with that. But if these folks are going to have to pay money, it's going to be real bad going, because this is not money they budgeted for.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Part of that shell
budgeted $156 million.
Part of that shell game is, we don't have to worry about paying this because the NCAA is not looking for this or not charging us for this. Now all of a sudden
we can do XYZ to our facilities or pay a coach or whatever.
I'm not going to say a Ponzi scheme, but it's almost kind of set up like that. Hey, we can afford these things because we're not getting charged for these other things. You take that equation out of the deal, and now all of a sudden, oops,
I don't have that money. It's not like I put the money aside.
Right. Yeah, there's not a bank, an MTSU bank, that they've just been stockpiling money just for this. So, man, this is going to be fascinating. Props to you for doing some digging and kind of presenting this, because this is going to be – and it's going to be one of those stories that I think when things come down later in the week, everybody's going to be like, yeah, I had no idea this was on the table. And then all of a sudden it's like record scratch type situation,
Yep. That's it. That's the thing, is you're going to find out that the NCAA and the way it's done business was never good business. It was never good business. And I think we got to hold the schools somewhat responsible, because I feel like they had to know at some point. I do think that given all of the things that you give a player, a scholarship athlete, that there is compensation for their time. I do believe that they are compensated in some way. They are given free tuition, room and board. They eat very well, trust me. I mean, it's not like they are just, out on their own giving $7.25, an hour for 40 hours a week, and good luck to you. I mean, they really are compensated to some degree, not to the level that they should be, some of them, others far more than they should be probably. But, that's what you signed up for.
Right.
But these Power 5 conferences, when the big money started rolling in from television, and television in the mid 90s became, pay-per-view, early 90s came out, big for college football, mid 90s, these big time TV programs with ESPN and CBS and all of those things. Once those big dollars started rolling in, they had to know somebody else is going to want a piece of this. Who is it and when? And they just kept rolling like it was never going to. It's like throwing that bill out from the collection agency.
Yeah.
And just if I ignore it, what are they going to do? Sue me? Yeah, they have. Sorry.
That is fascinating stuff. And we will obviously have much, much more on this suit, NCAA at large, and where we go with that as we kind of continue on here. Sports business, always a crazy topic. NCAA, always a crazy topic. And they both have been in the news a lot, probably a lot more than certain administrators would have liked. When we come back, though, we're going to take a quick time out. When we come back on the other side of this break, we are going to flip the script. We're going to highlight, we're going to celebrate some of our favorite performances of the weekend. It's time to break things down on a little segment we like to call MON-STARS. We'll take a time out. When we come back, Chris and I will give you our best and brightest from a big weekend of sports. You're listening and watching Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by TOA of Columbia. Back right after this.
wild horses are coming to Franklin. The Mustang Heritage Spectacular. 4 days of celebrity freestyle, liberty training, trick riding, and extreme Mustang makeover. Plus the shopping. Over 100 vendor spaces with clothing, food, home goods, and things you can't find anywhere else. All that and celebrity signings at a music stage too. June 20th through 23rd at Williamson County Ag Expo Park. Don't miss a moment with a weekend pass. MustangHeritageFoundation.org for tickets.
Hello, race fans, and welcome to Nashville Super Speedway.
That's right, guitars and fast cars right here in Music City. This summer, NASCAR is back at the Nashville Super Speedway. Get your tickets now to watch your favorite driver take on the 1.33 miles of concrete chaos. Visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com to lock in your spot June 28th through the 30th for the Ally 400 race weekend.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Welcome back, folks. Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by TOA of Columbia, alongside Chris Yao, Wade Neely here. We are inside the Lee Company studios, and it's time now for one of our favorite segments of the week. It's the time of the week where we shout out the best and brightest of the weekend. It's time where we flex a little muscle and highlight those that did so. It's time for MON-STARS. And Chris, we didn't have a full slate, as it were, of high school games to choose from, as we've slowly, or quickly rather, I should say, kind of just feels like the postseason is breezed by. So we try and go preps to pros during this segment as best we can. But some of our performances, we're a little hamstrung in the sense there's only a handful of games as we get ready for the spring fling, which will be coming up later this week.
Yeah, it's not easy to find what you're looking for maybe all the time, but I will be interested to see where you go in your MON-STARS. I thought I had a preps person for this.
Mhm.
Turns out I did not have a preps person because it apparently was not this weekend that it took place. So that's where I got a little screwed up.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and preface. I got one that I couldn't shout out last week, but this occurred at the midweek. So if you feel compelled.
Midweek, I think that's okay.
To
but
include.
No, this was apparently not even, I think this is in the district tournament.
I was going to say, now if this was 2 or 3 weeks ago,
that's
maybe.
the problem with Twitter these days is that you don't always see things in chronological order like you used to.
Thanks, Elon.
And, well, I mean, thanks social media and everybody has gone to this for you, algorithmic timeline, and I'm sick of it. Like, that's what we loved about Twitter, was that everything was chronological. That's what made it great about watching sports on and being on Twitter, is everybody was talking about the same thing, and you could say, "Oh my God," and everybody knew what you were talking about.
Yeah.
You say that now, and it's just like, I'm sorry, what happened in this? You get something 2 weeks later. So anyway,
start us off either way.
I will start in college softball. They didn't make it to the super regionals, but it wasn't for a lack of effort. They did, however, Auburn make it to the regional finals, much due in part to Maddie Pinta, who in a 12-inning affair with Central Florida to get to the regional final, pitched all 12 innings, allowed just 3 hits, and struck out 21 batters, which
21
shatters, surprisingly, the Tigers' single game record for strikeout.
Which was probably what, like 13, 14?
Oh, if that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm going to go with Maddie Pinta, who had a heck of a game with 21 strikeouts and 12 innings pitched, allowing just 3 hits.
Versus Central Florida, the Gus Malzahn Bowl, if you will.
It was indeed. There you go.
Hey, I am going to attempt to throw in a little preps love. And again, this occurred in the middle of the week last week, but I had a chance to call both of these games over in McKenzie. So I wanted to give a shout out to friend of the show, Bryce Miller of Richland, that is, Richland High School of Linville, Tennessee. Not
Right.
to be confused.
Not Mount Pleasant, Texas.
Not to be confused with Bryce Miller of Mount Pleasant, Texas.
Big difference.
So we just want to make sure we get that correct. But Bryce Miller of Richland, he started game number 1 in the Raiders sectional game. Talk about tough luck. Richland lost 1-0 in the first game and then lost 3-2 in the second game. So they lost 2 one-run games to McKenzie to get eliminated. But in the first game of the night, Bryce allowed just 4 hits, had 1 run allowed. He went all 6 innings for Richland on the mound and struck out 6 in the performance on the mound. He didn't have the greatest hitting performance in game 1 because he was saving that for game number 2. In game number 2, on a game where Richland only had a couple of hits at the plate, Bryce had 2 big ones as he had 2 doubles. So, Chris, Bryce Miller is my first MON-STAR. 1-run game on the mound in game number 1, and then he goes 2 for 4 with 2 doubles in game number 2. And again, Richland falls. Both of those, unfortunately, 1-run losses to McKenzie as they fall in sectionals.
I'm going to go to the UFL.
Come
Surprise. DeMarcus Gates, linebacker for Birmingham, with the game on the line, Houston trailing Birmingham 35-28. Final play of the game, Houston drops back to pass, headed for the end zone. Just kidding. DeMarcus Gates comes off the edge almost untouched and laid a massive hit on the quarterback for Houston, Reed Sennett, I think is his Nolan. Reed Sennett, yeah.
Okay.
And just put him on his butt, won the game, had 8 tackles, 5 solos, and that 1 sack to ice it. So DeMarcus Gates, I call him DeMarquise. DeMarquise is how it's spelled.
Okay.
DeMarquise, but I don't know if I think it's just DeMarcus Gates.
Stallions,
So
just rolling along.
Birmingham Stallions, 15 in a row, 14 or 15 in a row, dating back to last season. The last team to beat them was Houston, as the game was.
So get a little A little extra thorn in the side there. Good.
Yeah, not what you love to see. Not what you love to see if you are Houston. So
good shout out there. Second MON-STAR for me was also a midweek pitching performance from former Giles County standout Ben Peoples, who continues to do pretty well at the AA level with the Montgomery Biscuits. Ben picked up his second win of the season. He won his opener back in April, early April, Chris Yao. And then he kind of went on a string of decent performances, but he kind of just was in no man's land. Didn't have any decisions for like 5 straight outings, but he picked up a win last week. So now he's 2-1 on the season. In the win for the Biscuits versus the Pensacola Blue Wahoos, he went 5 innings, allowed 4 hits and just 1 earned run. He fanned 5. And Ben Peoples, former GCHS standout, pitching well for the Montgomery Biscuits, and they come to Huntsville this week. Don't know when Ben is pitching just yet, but a lot of folks in Pulaski are excited about maybe making the short trip down to seeing Ben take on the Trash Pandas. So maybe we can see another good performance from Ben Peoples, who continues to play well at the minor league level, former GCHS standout.
This final MON-STAR is, I'm pulling this out because I think it's important to note that sometimes some people are put in impossible situations. And one of those people was Caitlin Clark.
You're going there.
Caitlin Clark was put in an impossible situation. She was, there were a lot of people who had never watched the WNBA, who did not understand the level of play at the WNBA level. And I think part of that, plus the motivation of 17,000 plus people being in arenas each time she's playing, it elevated the level of play for not just her opponents, but I think for her teammates as well.
Yeah.
Because they all wanted to show that, hey, we're all really pretty good at this. We've all been doing it at this level for a while. Y'all might want to pay attention, and I think that a lot of people are finally seeing that. But I saw a tweet from the WNBA this weekend that noted that Caitlin Clark joined Candace Parker, Sue Bird, and the late great Nikki McCray-Pinson as the only WNBA players to tally 50-plus points, 15 assists in their first 3 games.
Pretty good company.
That's fantastic company.
Yeah.
And most people who have not watched the WNBA would tell you she's had a bad start. And yet.
Well, and that's,
and yet.
So we could obviously devote a full segment to this, but that's kind of where I get into some of the discourse about Caitlin Clark and the start she's had, is what do you measure that success by? Are you expecting her to pick right back up where she left off with her gaudy stat lines at Iowa? Or is that your measure of success? Is your measure of success maybe kind of the stats that you presented, doing quote unquote less, but at a much higher level, obviously?
22, 8, and 6 on Saturday in that, what was it, an 11-point loss?
Yes.
Much smaller loss than the last time they played that team 2 days ago.
Or to your broader point, you got some folks that are measuring her success or lack of success at the moment based on the overall record of the team. And that maybe is the most egregious of all, because as we've said, they have gotten destroyed, yes, in a lot of their games, but man, they have played, they've already played the Liberty twice, if I'm not mistaken.
Connecticut was the number 3 team in the
played the Sun in the opener.
And they play them again tonight.
Whew, I mean, they have had a tough. The schedule makers, which makes you kind of scratch your head a little bit. You set up your potentially booming franchise with Aaliyah Boston last year and now Caitlin Clark. You know, they're potentially, you're hoping on an upward trend. And you give them the Sun, the Liberty, and the Sun for their first 4 games.
Yeah.
And then the Storm in their next game, who a lot of folks are saying is another top team in the league.
Yeah, it's interesting because they did put the schedule out in December, but they knew Caitlin Clark was the number overall pick. I mean, come on now. So anyway, it is interesting, but I got to give props to Caitlin because after the 9-point performance against New York the first time, she could have folded. She could have been like, clearly this is, I've got to figure this out or whatever. And she bounces back with a 22, 22, 8 and 5.
Yes.
22, 8 and 6. 22, 8 assists and 6 rebounds. I got to give her credit for that. So,
yeah. And losing by 11 to the Liberty on the road. I mean,
after losing by 20 plus at home. Yeah. Great job by the coaching staff to adjust, the players to adjust. So
they'll get it figured out and they'll start winning some games. May not win a ton of games, but they will start winning games sooner than later. Final MON-STAR for me, I'll keep it in the W as well. As I watched a little bit of this to finally kind of put a wrap on my Saturday night. Kalia Copper for the Phoenix Mercury. She balled out, folks. She played 33 minutes, and she single-handedly almost beat the Atlanta Dream. It was a 3-point game, but she goes for 38 points. She also had 6 rebounds and a key assist as Phoenix really kind of needed every ounce of firepower from her down the stretch as they were just going to her. It was kind of like watching legit NBA in the sense where everybody's clearing out. And I know you got Diana Taurasi, even somebody like Sophie Cunningham who can shoot pretty well. They were just clearing it out for Copper and saying, let her get hers. And she did, as she single-handedly fueled the Phoenix to a win over the Liberty on Saturday. So she closes out my MON-STARS. Good discussion. Kind of a little bonus WNBA segment right there because there's been some good games to start the season.
There have.
And I think folks that are brand new to the league, you're right. They're seeing players like Caitlin Clark and maybe even some other up-and-coming players or rookies really kind of quote-unquote struggle. But it just shows how good the dang league is overall. And that's why I'm saying the measure of success, if you were just expecting her to pick up right where she left off at Iowa, you're kind of going to be sorely mistaken because the competition is dramatically better. But the fact she is putting up numbers.
Well, particularly in these against these two teams.
Yes. Yeah. Let's see what happens when she gets to take on some of the other teams that aren't doing so hot right now. Then you might really see some more quote unquote traditional Caitlin Clark stat lines. But for now, props to her, props to all of our MON-STARS. Again, every Monday we bring you guys the best and brightest from the weekend as part of our MON-STARS segment. And that will close us out. We're a little late on our break, but we will take a quick one. When we come back, we'll have This Day in Braves history. We'll talk about the Atlanta Braves, tiny bit of Astros chatter. We'll talk a little baseball at large as we kick off hour number 2 on Main Street Sports Today. We're presented by TOA of Columbia. Back right after this.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
I'm not Maurice Patton, but I will tell you what happened this day in Braves history, if you'll so allow, Wade. We'll go back to 1986. It was a great year. And
we were created that year.
We were indeed. Yes. This is a name I know you all remember. Rafael Ramirez of Braves fame, of course, because, he played in a lot of games, but he played for two teams in his career. Wade, do you know what those two teams are?
Well, he played with the Braves and the Astros.
That's correct. It's a great day in Braves.
Yeah.
You get a Rafael Ramirez who had 4 doubles today in 7 ABs as the Braves get a rare win.
4 doubles.
4 doubles. 4 doubles
Wow.
in 7 at-bats, and the Braves get a rare win in 1986, a 9-8 decision over the Chicago Cubs in 13 innings.
According to StatMuse.com, 4 doubles is the record for most in a game. There's like 40 players, but the record is 4.
Well, there you go. The Braves won 72 games that year. That's not, terrible. It was good enough for last place in the NL West, but I mean, there were worse years during the 80s.
Yes,
72
okay.
and 89.
There's like 40 players that are listed on this, and on the bottom of this might be the whole list. Again, this is on StatMuse.com. There is Rafael Ramirez there on the 21st in 86. Also listed on the Braves, 4 doubles. Adam LaRoche in 2004 versus the Brewers. Marcus Giles, 2003.
So the most random people
at Montreal. Yeah. And I'm scanning. I don't see any other Braves on here. 4 doubles in a game. Yeah, that just, when you said that kind of just blew my mind. I was like, I feel like that's probably a really almost impossible stat. And yeah, like 40 players. Albert Bell has done it twice, including 2 times both of those times in the 99 season.
Wow. That's impressive.
let's see. And honestly, not that far apart. I know we're strolling down just random MLB trivia here, but with the Orioles, Albert Bell on September 29th, or excuse me, August 29th, and then again on September 23rd, he achieved the feat. So
within a month.
Within a month, had 2 games with 4 doubles.
That's remarkable.
Not to diminish the achievement, but Rafael Ramirez, of all these people, did take the most at bats with those 7 that you mentioned. Let's see, 1, 2, 5 folks have done this in just 4 at bats, including Sandy Alomar Jr.
I feel like you should get like extra credit for that.
Yeah. Your stat means more. Kirby Puckett did it in 4 at bats, 5 at bats, excuse me. And everybody's favorite, crouched Astros slugger, Jeff Bagwell.
Jeff Bagwell, yeah.
So
there you go.
I love when Mo and you both, when we dig out these older stats, even if it goes back to the Bean Eater days, as you did a couple of weeks ago, because it kind of just starts sending my brain down this weird trivia.
Unlocking core memories and such.
So thank you for doing that. It's an admirable job of filling in for Brother Patton today.
Oh, well,
I did all that. We did all that to hopefully take your mind and put your mind at ease, because we opened with a little Brave discourse today, and it was not very pleasant.
No. Are you kidding me? The Braves score 5 to start and give up 6 to end. 6-5, the loss in game 1 of the double dip today. So not ideal, and we won't get into it much more than that, other than to say, Braves starting pitching and the offense kind of started coming around today. So hopefully things will get better as the day progresses, but not a great weekend. Don't really want to talk much about that either, to be honest with you.
Hey, all I'm going to say is I'm looking at the box score for today. I'm a little mad. I had some all financial incentives yesterday on both Olsen and Ozuna to hit home runs. Obviously, neither did last night, but guess which 2 Braves homered today?
Same inning.
Bottom of the 3rd. Ozuna hits one 4-11 and Olsen hits one 4-14. So that kind of grinds my gears a little bit today.
That's about the way it goes. Ronaldo Lopez with another great outing, 6 1/3, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 Ks. Guy has just been phenomenal with his 1.54 ERA on the season. Joe Jimenez with the loss, pitches 1 inning, gives up 4 earned runs on 3 hits with 2 walks. Just not a great day. So there you go.
But they get to play again.
Yeah, but they've lost all 3 of their games to this point against the Padres. So trying to avoid the sweep tonight, and I believe either Chris Sale or Charlie Morton will go tonight. I'm not entirely sure who is scheduled on the bump.
ESPN's got Sale listed in an attempt to lighten the mood, but also keep it in the frame of baseball. Our good buddy Ryan Weathers scheduled to be on the mound tonight, taking on the Brewers as the Marlins are at home this evening. Talk about a tough stat line. Weathers is sitting there with a 2-4 record. He's got a 3.81 ERA, which obviously is kind of maybe a more indicative stat. But anytime you got that 2-4 record, it just kind of looks a little unfortunate. But the guy's been pitching great for Miami, who's a really bad team.
Yeah, he's pitched great. And, tonight's one of those nights where you're kind of torn, if you're like me, with the Brewers kind of being team number 2.
Yeah.
With the Sounds here in town. So, you get to know a lot of those guys. And should be interesting to kind of just watch that one as a semi-fan of both the pitcher and the hitters.
So the Braves, again, they'll go again tonight versus the Padres. Ryan Weathers will go tonight. And we've been discussing Houston a little bit on this program over the last couple of weeks. It hadn't been pretty until late. All of a sudden, who knew that all it took for Houston to turn around the season was the Athletics coming to town? Because they swept them, and then now put together a couple nice wins over the weekend versus Milwaukee. So Houston, who will host the Angels now tonight. Now's a chance. Mo and I talked about it last week on the show. now's a chance to really kind of expand upon this thing because now you get the Angels coming into town for a couple of games.
Yeah, it's not been good. Not been a great year for the Angels to this point, unfortunately.
Started off somewhat promising,
yeah,
but then once they kind of hit that wall, they really hit a wall.
And Mike Trout's out, and they just don't have a whole lot of great. They don't have a lot of great baseball players on that club, and you know, much like the Athletics. It's funny you said that though, because it was the sweep at Oakland. I guess in 21 that kind of propelled the Braves to their success. And so it's funny that the Astros sweeping Oakland is kind of what has gotten you guys on the right track. So Oakland is good for what ails you, whether it's a sweep of them or being swept by them.
Or getting,
apparently.
Or pillaging their roster with trades.
Some people can do that too.
That's another strategy to deploy.
Seems to be working for Braves to some degree, except when they're on the injured list.
Speaking of bad teams, glancing through some of the standings, we mentioned a moment ago that the AL West has not been great, and Oakland is 1-9 in its last 10. Angels are 4-6 in their last 10. But if you flip over to the National League, the Rockies have not been good by any stretch. They've only won 15 games. 7 of those 15 wins have come in their last 10, though. They've won 7 out of their last 10.
I'm sorry, what?
They are 15-31, and they're 7-3 in their last 10.
They have doubled their win total in their last 10 games.
Yeah,
that is amazing.
That is mind blowing.
But here's the crazy part: is they're on a 3-game losing streak.
Yeah.
What?
Can't figure this game out. They got swept by the Giants over the weekend. So I love.
You know who else isn't good? The Reds.
No.
But you know who is good?
Yes.
Ellie De La Cruz.
Yeah. Mo and I brought him up last week, and this guy is still just.
Is he going to steal 100 bases?
You know, I feel
he stole 4 over the weekend, right?
That was what Mo and I discussed on Friday's show is. And my question is, I think we already have our answer. Is Cincinnati going to be in discussion of the playoffs at some point? I don't think they will be.
No.
Because my question was, does any of his strategy as a player or the strategy that the managerial staff uses for him change if the games mean a little more? And if the games don't mean anything, why not? Just let him ride, man. Let's just go out and see if he can get over 100 bags.
Make them throw him out. And here's the thing: is he leads the team in home runs with 9.
Now that is crazy.
He leads the team in home runs and it has 30 stolen bases on the year through 47 games. I feel like 100 stolen bases is not out of the realm of possibility, considering he did steal 4 in a game the other day. So,
he's got 30 stolen bases right now. Was that Bryce? Is that Terang for the Brewers is second with 18. Obviously, Ruiz for the A's kind of has had some time up and down this year, so he's probably not as high on this list as you would normally expect. But, I mean, De La Cruz is going to lap everybody in this stat by the end of the season. And I think the fact that Cincinnati is not going to be in the playoff discussion is going to let him kind of just really run wild and try and wreak havoc on the base pass.
I would be curious to know where the Reds' 79 stolen bases lands, because Spencer Steer has 11, and that seems like a lot. I don't know. I mean, I guess I just don't watch enough baseball outside of the Braves to realize, but stolen bases just don't seem to be all that prevalent. And so to see someone steal 30 in 47 games is just absurd to me.
Well, and that was my discussion with Mo last week. This is not rocket science, but to steal bases, you got to get on base. So it's not as if you can just be the fastest guy. You have to be able to at least get on base. And the crazy part, to your point with De La Cruz, he's hit 9 home runs. I mean, you also can't steal bases if you hit it out of the ballpark.
Right.
So you got to find that sweet spot. You can't just go striking out or hitting home runs. You got to be able to get on base to steal them. And that's the crazy thing with this guy is he is just so electric to watch. And it's unfortunate that the team is not more in competition, because could you imagine being in a postseason spot where he's either at the plate or on base, and you got to get him out some shape, form, or fashion, or if he's on first, what's about to happen?
Yeah.
That would just be insane to watch as far as a cool situation. But it does not look like that's happening this year.
No, I don't expect it at all. So, there's that.
Other MLB chatter, you've got a note in our run of show. St. Louis City Connect jerseys. I Googled these things. I kind of like them. Don't hold that against me as an other Astros fans for saying anything nice about the Cardinals. I kind of like them, but the way you just kind of grimaced, you almost give me the vibes that you don't necessarily care for.
I don't really. I mean, I kind of like them too. I think they're very. What's the way to say this? They're kind of like Atlanta's in that they didn't vary too far away from who they are. The Braves use the old this, and so it just kind of folded into their branding. Whereas like
they didn't step outside of the box very much.
Yeah. And so they didn't do that here in St. Louis either. And I love the Lou. It's kind of the A.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the A, and then the Lou. It's a kind of an homage to the local rap scene with Nelly and whatnot. And so, as a Nelly fan, I like them too. And so, I understand those people who don't like them, but I think if you don't like them, you're just not going to like any City Connects, because these are about as down the middle of a City Connect as you can get.
I said I liked them, but now that you say that, for what they're supposed to be, maybe I don't like them as much in that regard, but they are nice. You're right. I do.
This would be a good Sunday. Every Sunday kind of, uniform. Whereas, you look at Philadelphia and they just look silly. They look like goofballs out there.
I mean, and that's kind of the point of the City Connect jerseys, though, is you're kind of supposed to get off the wall a little bit.
Right.
You're supposed to, within reason. You're right. The Phillies.
They went a little out there.
I don't know
what they were doing.
They look like the Liberty Bell looks more like the Taco Bell at this point.
Yes.
But I digress. Hey, we've got to take a quick
the teal and the purple across the jersey. That'd be hilarious.
We've got to take a quick break. When we come back on the other side of this timeout, we're going to talk a little more baseball, but we're going to switch it up. We'll talk college baseball with our good friend Ben McKEE of Go Vols 24/7. A lot of consternation on social media about the SEC and who really won the SEC. That's some of the chatter we saw over social media, but we'll also obviously break down what happened in the final week of the Southeastern Conference's schedule. We'll also preview this week's conference tournament. All that and much more as Ben McKEE of Go Vols 24/7 is with us on the other side of this timeout. You're watching and listening to Main Street Sports today presented by TOA of Columbia, and we're back right after this.
Hello, race fans, and welcome to Nashville Super Speedway.
That's right, guitars and fast cars right here in Music City. This summer, NASCAR is back at the Nashville Super Speedway. Get your tickets now to watch your favorite driver take on the 1.33 miles of concrete chaos. Visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com to lock in your spot June 28th through the 30th for the Ally 400 race weekend.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Wild horses are coming to Franklin. The Mustang Heritage Spectacular. 4 days of celebrity freestyle, liberty training, trick riding, and extreme Mustang makeover. Plus the shopping. Over 100 vendor spaces with clothing, food, home goods, and things you can't find anywhere else. All that and celebrity signings at a music stage too. June 20th through 23rd at Williamson County Ag Expo Park. Don't miss a moment with a weekend pass. MustangHeritageFoundation.org for tickets.
Welcome back, folks. Main Street Sports Today is presented, as always, by TOA of Columbia, alongside Chris Yao, Wade Neely, coming to you live from the Lee Company studios here in the heart of downtown Columbia. Big show today, rolling right along and diving right in. We told you guys earlier in our first hour we would talk SEC baseball, and to help break things down is our good friend. He is the one, the only, and he is Ben McKEE from Go Vols 24/7. He joins us now. Ben, how we doing?
Doing well. Apologies for the funky setup today. I got thrown on daddy pickup duty at the last second, so hope y'all.
No problems there. We appreciate you taking some time to join us. And Chris was nodding his head. He's a man that's
been there,
been in that situation a number of times. Ben, we obviously saw Tennessee do very well this weekend versus South Carolina. And as somebody that doesn't keep up or didn't keep up with things as closely as I should, who really won the SEC this year? I feel like there's a lot of teams that are making claims one way or the other, and I feel like I know the right answer, but who won the SEC this year in your mind?
Well, I guess it depends on if you ask a Kentucky fan or a Tennessee fan. Kentucky fans will tell you that they did. They certainly deserve their props, hang the banner, put it out on the outfield wall, all that fun stuff. But I guess if you're having a conversation, Tennessee has the upper hand because it can say that it won 9 out of 10 SEC series. It won 9 straight. It beat Kentucky in Kentucky's home park 2 out of 3 times. And Tennessee's the only team in the SEC that won 9 SEC series this season. So Kentucky certainly deserves a lot of credit that they have a lot of bragging rights, not saying that they don't, but because of what Tennessee did in SEC play totality or from start to finish, and because they beat them in their own ballpark. I would say that Tennessee is the true SEC champion, and I think the seeding in Hoover reflects that.
You were way more diplomatic, I think, than a lot of folks were anticipating, so props to you for doing that, because everything that you just said as a pure neutral observer of this situation, that's the way it's got to be. When you go in and win 2 out of 3 at their yard and all the other stats that you just backed that up with, They are, in my opinion. I don't care what the banners may say in one stadium or the other. It does feel like Tennessee won this thing outright, even though it's technically a co-champion.
Yeah, I completely agree. And again, for any Kentucky fans who may be listening, I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of. Tennessee basketball, looking back, I guess it was 2018, split the SEC with Auburn. And Auburn, if I remember correctly, did have the upper hand in terms of the head-to-head that year. But who's going to be the one that tells Admiral Schofield or Grant Williams that they're not SEC champs? And that basketball team was phenomenal, just like this Kentucky baseball team is phenomenal. And I think it speaks more to the strength of the league in SEC baseball than Kentucky backdooring itself into an SEC championship. They are one of the best teams in the country. I'll raise my hand and be honest. I was reluctant to buy in. It took me several weeks, more than it should have, to buy in. But they ultimately proved their worth. And I would not at all be surprised to see Kentucky in Omaha competing for a national championship, because I think they're one of the best teams in the country. But I do think that because Tennessee's offense is a little more dynamic from top to bottom, I do think that Tennessee's a slightly better team, and I think that's reflected in the SEC seeding, as I mentioned.
As you mentioned, the SEC baseball tournament, Tennessee, the number 1 seed. And, of course, they get a chance to play the winner of Vanderbilt in Florida. So there you go. That's always fun. What is Tennessee's hope out of this tournament? I mean, went down there a couple years ago and I think went 2-0. And so, do they want to get to the championship of this thing? Do they want to just get out and get home and be done? It seems like they've had more success long-term when they get out of this. They leave Hoover a little early.
Yeah, that's a funny study, and that's something that's talked about at length every single season, whether or not it's a good thing to have an extended run in Omaha or in Hoover, excuse me. And I think Tennessee is actually a funny case study in itself when it comes to that topic, because in 2021, they play the title game, lose to Arkansas, still make it to Omaha. The next year, 22, was the team that won the SEC tournament and was the team that was the best team in college baseball and could have the national championship. They don't get Omaha. Last year, they go one and done because they only played in the single elimination format. They lose to Texas A&M, and then they get sent on the road to Clemson. They get sent on the road to Southern Miss, and they go to Omaha. And they win the first game in Omaha in like 20 years. So I think Tennessee is actually a funny case story. As it pertains to this team, I actually think because they won an SEC championship already, and I say the same thing with basketball. I think it's more impressive to win the regular season championship than it is to win the tournament, because you're proving it over the course of 3 months rather than getting hot within a short amount of time, within a week. Not that there's anything against like an asterisk next to winning the SEC tournament. It's still very impressive and still should be celebrated as an SEC championship. But I do think the regular season title is a little more impressive. And we just saw it with Tennessee basketball, oddly enough, to where yes, it was frustrating to see the basketball team go 0-1 in Nashville as the number 1 seed and you lose to Mississippi State. But I feel like the blow was lessened because you were able to win the regular season championship. And I feel like this applies to this baseball team as well, to where if you have a nice lengthy week and you have some success, then okay, cool. If not, if you go 0-2 and you get to go home and rest up like you did last year for the NCAA tournament, then cool too. So I think because they already have an SEC championship in the bag, I think you're kind of playing with house money this week. And I think either result, whether you do go 0-2 and you end up resting, or if you're able to play 5 games and win the tournament, and you get A.J. Russell back out there on the mound, you get some youngsters, some valuable experience. I think both situations are valuable. And I think at the end of the day, kind of going off of the fact that you already have an SEC championship in the bag, I think you're just kind of playing with house money, and whatever happens, happens. And because you already have that SEC championship, we know what this team is looking to win. We know what the fans want, and that's a national championship. So I think that will ultimately decide their legacy on whether this was a successful season or not. Not what they do in Hoover. And I'll be honest, I absolutely believe that the players care much more about the NCAA tournament than this SEC tournament. It's very much of, if we win, cool. If we don't, cool. So I would encourage Tennessee fans out there, if it is a struggle these next couple of days, don't freak out too much. They should be perfectly fine. They should still be able to handle business in a regional and a super regional. And at the end of the day, that matters far more than Hoover, even if Hoover is supposed to be fun.
As a fan, it bothered me none to lose in Nashville in the basketball tournament, just as an FYI. Oh, man. It's been impressive to watch this baseball program under Tony Vitello since 2018 when he arrived. Tennessee has won 281 games. They've been to 5 regionals, 3 super regionals, 2 College World Series, and they've had 4 winning seasons in SEC play. The 4 years before he got here, they were 133 and 132 with no regionals and no winning seasons. It's just a crazy what Tony Vitello has been able to do in such a short period of time in creating Tennessee as a serious contender year in and year out for the College World Series.
It is, and I never thought that I would see this, quite frankly. I was covering the team when they weren't even making it to Hoover. I was a student journalist just trying to get my feet wet and learn how this job works and kind of how to go about conducting yourself in a press box and so on and so forth. And baseball is my favorite sport when just talking about the sport itself, and that's what I played growing up. So I always had a natural attraction to it. Although obviously we know what SEC football is and SEC basketball that is more popular. But SEC baseball has always been just a crazy entertaining product. And as a student, when I was at Tennessee, I was always jealous because of my love for baseball. And I'm looking around and I see Vanderbilt, what Vanderbilt is, and LSU and the Mississippi schools and so on and so forth. And was always jealous, but never quite thought that Tennessee would become what it's become. And that's a program that can truly win a national championship any given year because they have that much talent. The coaching staff is that good. I don't think Tony gets enough credit for how good of a coach he is. Everybody talks about how great of a recruiter he is, but I don't think his program gets enough credit for how they develop players, not just on the mound with Frank Anderson, but Josh Elander in the offense and defensively. Just look at Columbia's own Kavares Tears. I mean, he showed up at Tennessee a couple of years ago basically without a position. He had a couple in mind, but now today he's announced that he's on the All-SEC defensive team, and that's because of the player development that Tennessee has, and his in-game decisions this season have just been phenomenal. After that's been a bit of a question mark surrounding Tony throughout his head coaching career, there's a knock on him that he maybe keeps his guy, his pitcher in there an extra out or two longer than he should. And this season, he's pressed all the right buttons with the help of his assistant coaches. So it's been really cool to see what they've turned this program into. And it's a program that can win a national championship any given year. It's been like that for several years now. And with the way that they're recruiting, they've recruited lights out. Don't confuse what I said earlier about him getting too much credit with recruiting. It's been phenomenal. Some of the early players they were able to pick up on the recruiting trail, like Jordan Beck and Drew Gilbert and others. Mm-hmm. But they've even turned it up a notch to where they're recruiting the number 1 or the number 2 overall recruiting class in the country coming out of high school each and every year for like the next 4 to 5 years. If you look at rankings like Perfect Game and whatnot, and a lot of people talk about Tennessee baseball and the stigma and their flair and they judge from afar. But when the transfer portal opens, there are just about every player in the portal is knocking on their door and calling their phones wanting to come play. So no signs of slowing down either. I'd be, quite frankly, I said this on our podcast that we do at Go Vols 24/7 earlier this week. If we look back 20, 30 years from now and we're talking about Tony not winning a national championship at Tennessee, I would be more surprised by him not winning a national championship at Tennessee than I would be if he won a national championship, because there's just that much talent already in the program, continuing to come in, and then the coaching staff itself is elite, quite frankly.
It does feel like that's where Tennessee is trending, or on a collision course toward, is that potential national championship. We're talking with Ben McKEE of Go Vols 24/7. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Ben McKee 14. Ben, final series of SEC play over the weekend. Other than scoreboard watching with Kentucky and what they were doing this weekend, what did you take away, or what were one or two key takeaways from this weekend as Tennessee takes all three in pretty convincing fashion versus South Carolina at home?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the scoreboard watching. It was impressive to me how the players and the coaches did not scoreboard watch. They showed up as if it was just another baseball game and handled business. That's something that Tony talked about following the final game of the weekend, and how impressed he was by how he didn't hear chatter about what was going on in Lexington, and all the focus was just on beating South Carolina. So that stood out to me in a significant way. To me, that is the mark of a great baseball team on top of everything else they have going on. But other than that, the pitching, we know what the offense is at this point, so it's hard to have any takeaways there. But the pitching just continues to get better each and every week, and they're getting production from guys that you didn't necessarily think that they would get production from entering the season. And it's guys like Xander Seacrest, who was absolutely phenomenal in Game 3 on Saturday. He's kind of been up and down this year. He's not technically an opener, but because of some struggles, he has proven to open games, only pitch an inning or two. But against South Carolina, I believe it was 6 innings, 6 scoreless innings. He was just dominant, quite frankly. And if Tennessee is going to win a national championship, or even if Tennessee is going to get back to Omaha at some point in those first 2 weekends of the NCAA tournament, they're going to need Xander Seacrest to get big time outs. And if the Xander Seacrest shows up against South Carolina, then Tennessee is going to be positioned well. So looks like A.J. Russell, a mid-state native, looks like he's going to pitch on Wednesday. If I had to guess, I certainly think at minimum he gets in on Wednesday or Thursday. He's not going to come back and be the starter that they thought he was going to be. But if they can get 5 to 6 outs from him throughout the postseason over the course of a weekend, I mean, that's a huge boost, because the pitching staff, numbers-wise, has been terrific this year. They've had another productive year on the mound, but it feels like they're still missing that 1 or 2 extra arms that it can rely on. And if AJ can come in and get those 5 to 6 outs that 1 or 2 extra arms would lead to, then once again, I mean, you have to feel even more confident in Tennessee's ability to get back in Omaha and compete for a national championship. So we know what the offense is. That didn't surprise me this weekend. Kudos to them for handling business once again, but it was the pitching that really stood out to me, because that's going to make or break what they do here in the postseason.
Absolutely. Arms seem to always kind of carry teams. Need some bats, obviously, but the arms seemingly carry teams a very long way. Tennessee will open up at 4:30 Central Time on Wednesday, again, versus Vanderbilt or Florida. We've been talking with Ben McKEE of Go Vols 24/7. Ben, thanks for taking some time to not only join us today, but to share some coveted daddy duty time with us. So thank you for making some sacrifices, and we always love talking to you. Thank you, and we'll catch up with you again real soon, okay?
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on, and once again, apologies for the setup. Hope you could hear me okay. Sorry for the little one making some echo noises there. I always enjoy joining you all, and hope you all have a great week.
Awesome stuff. Thank you, Ben. Ben McKEE, Go Vols 24/7. Make sure you follow him again on Twitter at Ben McKEE 14. And good stuff there. As we mentioned, Tennessee will get either 8 seed or 9 seed, Vanderbilt or Florida, on Wednesday down in Hoover. Game beginning roughly at 4:30 Central Time. Games will be broadcast on SEC Network or ESPN as the week unfolds. When we come back, Chris and I
real quick before we get out of here,
you got a little something for us here?
I just want to, first team All SEC, Christian Moore of Tennessee, Dylan Dreiling of Tennessee, and second team, Blake Burke of Tennessee, Kavaris Tears of Columbia Academy in Tennessee. And then, as mentioned, he was part of the all-defensive team in the outfield there. So pretty exciting, pretty cool stuff. And congrats to Charlie Condon, who was the Player of the Year in the SEC, and to Drew Beam for the Scholar Athlete of the Year. So there you go. They're full stuff on secsports.com if you want to see the entire teams.
Vols well represented on those all SEC selections. As Chris mentioned, secsports.com. You can check that out. Final segment's coming up. Chris and I will wrap things up here on the other side. Go into the grab bag. We'll talk a little golf. We'll talk a little SEC softball. Got quite a few SEC softball teams still standing, as we mentioned. And then it wouldn't be
Depending on how you count them.
Yeah, depending. That is a very key distinction there. And then it wouldn't be a little segment if we didn't talk a little NASCAR. We won't get a chance to chat with Heather on Wednesday, so we got a very interesting, including a local connection regarding NASCAR. So stay tuned for that. It's all part of our final segment. The grab bag comes your way next. TOA of Columbia sponsoring Main Street Sports today, and we are back with the final segment after this.
I'm Maurice Patton, and on Main Street Sports Today, we bring you the voices of your favorite teams from preps to pros.
Otherwise known as the VOT, Mike Keith.
The bottom line is we can teach Will Levis woke.
I just don't know who's going to work with you on your base stealing now that Eli's gone.
Well, that has nowhere to go but up. And I was just like, oh, guys, not again. Can we just bury that, burn that footage, and not bring it back?
No.
No. Thank you. We'll keep it going past the All-Star break, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. There's always a good story to tell.
Can you guess where I am today, Mo? Where am I?
It's not Reese Smith Field, is it?
Yeah.
Because anytime you play Chicago, you want to win. That's just
you got that right, and
that's bottom
there
line.
could be a buzz.
When you're walking the dog, you keep the bags that you need for the dog in the bag, and you don't even have to wear it. You can just hold it, which is what I do when I walk the dog. So
I think the fanny pack probably needed a little rebranding.
It did. It really did.
On your show logo, we've got to get a puck in there. There's a basketball. There's a football. There's a baseball. Maybe not a puck. How about Mo brandishes a hockey stick?
Tune in daily at 2 p.m. on Main Street Media TV.
It's perfect for the shirt you got on. Are you going on vacation?
Man, it was next shirt up in the rotation. It's the Ja Morant Hawaiian shirt. A friend of mine got this at the Grizzlies game earlier this year. One of the highlights of the Grizzlies season is Hawaiian shirt night. So that tells you all you need to know about how the Grizzlies did this year. Final segment here, Main Street Sports Today. We're presented as always by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. He's Chris Yao. I'm Wade Neely. We come to you live from the Lee Company studios here in downtown Columbia. Chris, time to dip into the grab bag. Got a lot of topics to get into. Let's let you reach into the grab bag first. Where do we want to take this thing? Because there's a lot to unpack from the weekend that was here.
Yeah, let's talk about the NCAA softball super regionals as matchups have been set, and there are 16 teams remaining in the NCAA Division I tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Of those 16 teams remaining, 7 or 9, depending on how you count,
key distinction,
are SEC schools. Now, Texas and Texas A&M, by the way, playing in a super regional.
So SEC on future SEC crime, as it were.
And just Texas A&M in general.
Also, just in general, no shortage of bad blood.
So that's exciting there. Stanford and LSU will play in Palo Alto. Oklahoma State, Arizona, Florida, and Baylor advancing over Louisiana, which was an interesting surprise. So Florida advances, like I said. Oklahoma has Florida State defeating Auburn in that Tallahassee regional, and exciting games there. Missouri and Duke will play in Como. UCLA and Georgia out in LA, and Tennessee, Alabama for a chance at the College World Series. That'll be a fun series. Number 3 Tennessee and number 14 seeded Alabama.
I mean, I know that's a rivalry. You obviously wonder what level of severity or degree of hatred there potentially is, but you just say Tennessee and Alabama, and then the fact you throw them in to a super regional, kind of be like if Tennessee and Bama in football were playing, in the SEC championship game of sorts here in terms of massive implications. That is going to be an electric series.
Will indeed.
As Tennessee survives their regional, Alabama gets by. And
Alabama, so Southeastern Louisiana upsets Clemson in the first round and then beats them again in the elimination game. So Alabama had to play CeeLa twice and beat them 6-3 and 12-2.
So they get in. And it's funny you mentioned that because Mo and I were glancing through the scores on Friday's show, and I distinctly remember pointing out that game hadn't gone final yet, but I remember pointing out that was an upset in the making. And not only was an upset in the making, it turned into an elimination in the making.
Twice in the Tuscaloosa Regional in the last 2 years, because Middle made the championship series and forced the if game last year in Tuscaloosa. So Tuscaloosa seems to be a great place to go if you are a 3 seed looking to make a little noise.
As Tennessee will kick things off versus Bama Friday at 4 o'clock. It'll be game 2 Saturday at 3. And then that potential, if necessary, game would be Sunday. So looking at a Friday, Saturday series there. And SEC flavor is definitely abundant. Whether you count Texas and Oklahoma or not, it is certainly still very, very much kind of in the forefront of everybody. Hey, speaking of diamond sports, Chris, this is a topic that's near and dear to your heart and all of ours, really. We mentioned a couple of months ago on this show that Birmingham Southern had announced that they would be permanently closing the school. There was a late flurry to try and get a bill passed and keep the school afloat. And unfortunately, BSC is closing. They compete in NCAA Division III. But how about this situation? The Birmingham Southern baseball team just advanced to super regionals. And so they shut down permanently May 31st. But if Birmingham Southern wins their super regional
this
weekend, they would still be playing for a school that no longer exists. And I saw that going around on social over the weekend, and I just thought that was kind of mind-blowing in the sense that
here's the crazy
they'd still be playing even though the school doesn't exist anymore technically.
Not only will the school not exist, they have spent the last 2 weekends and will, I guess today through Wednesday, will be selling athletic equipment. So football helmets, trophies, basketball jerseys, everything that they've got there is on sale right now. You go on down to Birmingham Southern and you can purchase some old memorabilia from BSC. It is crazy because when they brought back football, they actually had shirts made that said undefeated since 1939 or something or whatever, because they had not played since then. Imagine if they go out and they're national champs forever. Forever.
You want to talk about a wild situation. We talked a lot about Lexington, Kentucky in our last segment with Ben McKEE and NCAA. That's where Birmingham Southern was this weekend as well. They were at Transylvania University. They defeated Transylvania 21-7 in the opener. Knocked off Spalding University.
That's
football score right there. Exactly. They defeated Spalding University of Kentucky 4-2 in that second game. And then they came back in the regional championship 5-2 versus Transylvania. They now get Denison University out of Granville, Ohio. So never in your life did you think a trip to Granville, Ohio would be the one that you're most excited about. But these young men for Birmingham Southern baseball, they play Friday and potentially a doubleheader on Saturday if they can win. If neither team obviously wins 2 in those first 2 games, they'd play again on Saturday as well to decide it. So BSC, and you pointed it out earlier, and everybody on social media is saying that's America's team. We're all BSC Panther fans heading into this weekend.
And I've always loved Birmingham Southern's logo.
I love
the B with the Panther in the top of the B. It's just such a good logo.
It's a great logo. Everybody's rooting for them. I got a couple friends that graduated from there. I mean, the funny thing is, I don't know if they realize that they're going to be playing this weekend, so maybe they'll get some local chatter. So we're all rooting for BSC heading to this weekend as
BS College.
Yes. It took me a second, but yes.
Mo said they should just go out there in jerseys that just said baseball. Just very nondescript said baseball.
Hey, the school formerly known as Birmingham Southern.
I saw one that said space for lease call.
I love that. And when you said that there was all the memorabilia sales going on, I thought for a moment you were going to say it was like the Little League teams when they get ready to go to their regionals and state tournaments. They were doing car washes and whatnot. I thought you were going to tell me it was the baseball team that needed to raise funds because they didn't have them appropriated. By the way, imagine if you're the bookkeepers at BSC and you're like, wait a second, we got to stroke like how many more checks? Yeah. Say, freeze the books because we still got some money we're spending. We're going to at least Ohio and maybe beyond.
Yeah, I need to go find to see if they got any Bucky McMillan jerseys left.
You know, that may be worth checking in. And the D3 baseball World Series is in Eastlake, Ohio.
So they can just stick around.
That's what I'm wondering. You know, due to cost cutting measures, we're just going to keep the team.
No buts. We're just
going to keep the team up there.
Oh man!
Speaking of travel and speaking of vehicles, it's only fitting that we sneak in a little NASCAR. We opened this show with arena football right in your wheelhouse. We get to close this show with NASCAR, which is also right in your wheelhouse. Producer Mark's got a clip. It wouldn't be NASCAR without a little fisticuffs, and we got one for the ages.
If you did the All-Star race too, like this wasn't even like a real race. I mean, $1 million was on the line. But geez, let's roll the clip. Roll that beautiful beam footage. All right, so you've got Kyle Busch here in the Lenovo black and orange, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who Kyle wrecked earlier, and Stenhouse is very upset, as you can see. You want to dance, old man?
And this is muted for a reason, by the way.
Yeah, we can't play over the air what they're saying. Trust us. There it goes.
So Stenhouse swings first.
All right.
And so now they're kind of separated. You're thinking we're done here. Busch is getting ready to take a couple more swings at somebody.
Now that old man was ready to dance.
But wait a second.
Wait a minute. Who's that guy?
There's bodies that are flying.
Who is that guy?
All right. So the wild thing is obviously a NASCAR brawl always gets media attention. But that massive guy that came in right at the end of the segment, and I did like a triple take last night because when it said Busch was involved, that is Linville native and former Richland Raiders standout Justin White. Graduated maybe 99, maybe 2000. Friend of the show, Justin White. Absolutely moving folks. And this is a guy that was a football and basketball standout. He famously broke the goal at Richland, Shaquille O'Neal style, one year while he was there. And so as this clip gets populated last night, I'm doing like a triple take, but also I see on social media some comments coming in there saying, who is this dude and what is he doing? And lo and behold, it's Justin White from good old Linville.
Throwing them around like they were tired.
Like they were, yeah, just literally just tossing people. Crazy situation. We won't get a chance to break things down with Heather on Wednesday, but we had to sneak that clip in. Chris, it's been a good show.
Yeah, stick with us tomorrow because we will have a spring fling preview. We're going to feature riders from all across Main Street Preps. It's going to be a lot of fun right here at 2 o'clock on Main Street Media, Television, and beyond. Wade, let's get out of here, man.
Let's do it. See you guys live next week, but enjoy our program and the rest of the week. We'll catch up with you soon. Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by TOA of Columbia.